There are moments in life when something inside you becomes restless, almost as if your spirit is whispering a truth you keep trying to ignore. You've been fighting thoughts of walking away, trying to convince yourself that letting go would finally bring peace. Yet no matter how much you try to silence it, a gentle pull keeps returning to your heart. A sense that the story isn't done. A sense that the connection you feel is not an illusion, not a mistake, not just a passing chapter. And today, for reasons you may not even understand yet, you are here, listening to words that reach you exactly when your strength feels thin. Words that come like a soft reminder. There is something you must not give up on. You have prayed for clarity. You have asked God to show you what is real. You've told him, if there is still something here, speak to me. If I'm supposed to keep believing, send me a sign. And maybe you didn't expect the answer to come this way, but sometimes God speaks in the quiet interruptions, in the unexpected moments where your heart becomes still enough to hear. The truth is, when God is aligning a love story, he finds his own ways to guide you back to what your soul already knows. And today, he's whispering that what you feel is not accidental. It's part of something being woven beyond what you can see. You may think you're tired because the process has been long. You've held on longer than anyone around you understands. And there were moments you questioned your own discernment, wondering if your heart was just too hopeful or too attached. But what you carry is not ordinary attachment. It's a spiritual bond, one that your spirit recognizes even when your mind tries to rationalize it away. There's a reason this person remains present in your thoughts in a way no one else ever has. There's a reason you sense something unfinished, something still unfolding. Love that comes from God is not forced. It's not chaotic. It may be challenging, but it carries a kind of peace that keeps gently returning. Sometimes God allows distance, silence, or confusion, not as an ending, but as preparation. Think of David in the fields, long before he ever saw the throne. Think of Joseph in the prison, long before he ever touched the palace. Think of Ruth walking into a land she didn't know, unaware that destiny was waiting in a simple field. God often hides the turning point inside the moments that look like nothing is happening. That's why he tells us in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Even now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" That verse doesn't say you will always see it clearly. It says it springs up even when you don't perceive it with your natural eyes. And right now, something is being aligned behind the scenes of your life. This person is not out of God's reach. They are not drifting without purpose. There is something stirring in their spirit too, even if they haven't expressed it. God has a way of awakening hearts at the exact moment he chooses. You may not know what he is doing on their side, but the same God who placed this connection on your heart is perfectly capable of touching theirs. He can soften what has been hardened. He can illuminate what has been ignored. He can restore what has been broken. You've been carrying a weight that wasn't meant to destroy you. You're exhausted not because you're weak, but because you're spiritually sensitive. You feel deeply, you love deeply, you believe deeply. And that depth is not a flaw. It's evidence of the calling on your heart. Not everyone receives a love story that touches the soul. Not everyone experiences a connection that challenges them to grow, to trust, to surrender. But you did. And God didn't place that in your life for nothing. Sometimes the enemy tries to make you believe that giving up is safer, easier, or more logical. He whispers lies that feed discouragement. There's nothing left. It's too late. They don't care. But the enemy fears what God is building. He fears a connection strengthened by faith. He fears a bond that carries purpose. He fears two people aligned by God because unity threatens everything he tries to destroy. So he pushes doubt, confusion, fear. But God is pushing something else: faith, endurance, and the quiet assurance that you are closer to breakthrough than you think. This isn't about chasing someone or forcing something to happen. This is about recognizing when God is telling you not to walk away prematurely. There is a difference between holding on to a false hope and holding on to a divine promise, and deep down, your spirit knows which one this is. If what you felt was temporary, you would have moved on long ago. If it was just emotion, it would have faded by now, but it didn't. And that resilience is not a sign of stubbornness. It's a sign of divine purpose. Think of the moments when you prayed for this person, the moments you felt peace settle over you right after talking to God about them, the moments you sensed that your story with them wasn't over. That wasn't delusion. That was God comforting you, strengthening you, and reminding you that His timing is never rushed. He builds slowly but perfectly. And the fact that you are hearing this message today is not an accident. It's part of the confirmation you've been asking for. There is something in your heart that God does not want you to abandon. And that doesn't mean things won't change or improve. It means God is not done. It means the story isn't finished. It means there is still a movement coming, something that will shift the situation in ways you can't imagine. It means that what feels paused is actually being prepared. As you continue listening, I want you to stay open, not to illusions, not to fantasies, but to God's specific guidance, because He is showing you that you're not holding on alone. Your faith has been seen, your prayers have been heard, and what He is about to reveal will make sense of everything you've endured. But before we continue, I want you to do something simple that aligns your heart with what God is already doing. Type in the comments the phrase, "I trust God's timing." And as you allow those words to settle in your heart, something begins to shift quietly within you. Not a dramatic change, not a sudden emotional rush, but a gentle alignment, like the feeling of a puzzle piece finally finding its place after being held in your hand for far too long. It's the awareness that what you've been carrying is not just emotion, but discernment. Not just longing, but spiritual recognition. When God ties two paths together, there are signs that keep resurfacing, moments where your heart becomes aware of something deeper happening beneath the surface. You've felt this connection in ways that can't be easily described. It's not something you can just get over, and it's not something your heart simply forgets because time has passed or circumstances have shifted. The more you tried to walk away, the more something pulled you back, not out of desperation, but out of alignment. You kept sensing there was more, sensing that something about this bond was unfinished, like a chapter that keeps calling you back because the ending has not yet been written. And that, in itself, is often one of the clearest signs that God is not done. There are relationships that fade naturally, and there are relationships that God gently removes to protect us. But then, there are relationships that stay alive inside the heart even when everything external seems disconnected. That's because spiritual connections don't break under pressure. They endure through silence, distance, confusion, and even emotional fatigue. Think of the way God connected Jonathan and David. Two souls drawn together with a purpose that was far greater than convenience, timing, or human logic. Scripture says, the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, 1 Samuel 18:1. That type of bond doesn't dissolve. It transforms, evolves, deepens, and endures. Something similar has been happening in you. Even in moments when you questioned your sanity, your discernment, or your emotional strength, something within you refused to let go. And that inner knowing wasn't born from fantasy. It came from a place where God had spoken, a place where He had shown you glimpses, confirmations, gentle whispers that kept aligning with your spirit. You've held onto those moments, sometimes even quietly, not wanting to seem overly hopeful or naive. Yet deep down, you knew they mattered. And now, as things begin shifting beneath the surface of your life, God is revisiting the very places where your hope became tired. He is bringing a fresh breath into the areas where you felt worn. Because while you were focused on how difficult the waiting felt, God was focused on how beautifully prepared the blessing needed to be. His timing is precise. He never rushes a story, and he never delays without purpose. If things seem slow, it's because the foundation is being strengthened. If things seem quiet, it's because hearts are being softened. If things seem still, it's because alignment takes time. This person who has been on your heart is not drifting accidentally through your thoughts. They are there because your story with them is part of something God has touched. The same way God stirred Pharaoh's heart at the exact moment Joseph needed to rise, the same way he orchestrated Ruth's steps into Boaz's field at the exact moment their destinies needed to meet, he is stirring movement in your situation too. You may not see it, but there is something awakening in the spirit realm, a shift that is beginning to influence the natural world. You have felt the hints of this shift. Maybe through sudden memories that resurfaced with unusual clarity. Maybe through moments where you felt this person in your heart so strongly it surprised you. Maybe through dreams or prayers that became emotional without warning, or moments where their name appeared unexpectedly. These moments aren't coincidences. They are spiritual impressions, indications that something is being prepared on both sides. God knows how to nudge your spirit when the time is drawing near. And even if this person has seemed distant or silent, remember that silence does not mean absence. Just because someone isn't speaking doesn't mean they aren't thinking. Just because they aren't approaching doesn't mean God isn't working in them. People process conviction, clarity, and emotional awakening differently. Sometimes God needs to break down walls that took years to build. Walls of fear, walls of pride, walls of past hurt, walls of taught self-protection. He knows exactly what is inside this person's heart, even if they haven't shown it to you yet. And believe this, no heart is too closed for God to open. No mind is too confused for God to clarify. No distance is too great for God to bridge. No silence is too deep for God to speak through. This connection has always been spiritually significant, and that's why it has survived storms that would have destroyed something superficial. That's why the feeling never fully faded. That's why the sense of purpose never disappeared. When God plants something, it resists dying. When He breathes life into something, it carries endurance. When He ordains a bond, He protects it, even from the people involved, even from their doubts, even from their fears. Your endurance is not for nothing. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you felt torn between holding on and letting go has been seen by God. And nothing you felt was wasted. You weren't fighting for something that was already gone. You were fighting through the transition between the old season and the new one. God sometimes allows space so that transformation can happen. Think of the prodigal son. Distance didn't break the bond. It revealed the truth of the bond. The separation wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The return wasn't coincidence, it was destiny. And when the moment was right, everything changed in a single step. In the same way, something is shifting within this person you love. Something they once ran from, ignored, or resisted is beginning to press on their heart. And God is orchestrating this gently because He knows the exact moment their heart will finally align with what He planted long ago. They have felt something too, more than once. They have sensed the connection even when they tried to bury it under distractions or obligations. They have had moments where you came to mind in ways they couldn't explain. They have replayed memories they never told anyone about. They have felt a pull they didn't fully understand. And the reason they felt all of this is simple. God has been touching their spirit even in the absence of physical closeness. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to chase. You don't need to fear losing what God is holding together. What is meant by God cannot slip away. What is aligned by God cannot be taken, and what carries purpose cannot die, because God Himself sustains it. As you continue walking through this season, your heart will begin to feel lighter, not because everything suddenly transforms overnight, but because God will give you a deeper understanding of the process. You will start to see the evidence of His hand in small things: unexpected peace, renewed hope, clarity where confusion once lived. You will begin to notice a quiet confidence replacing the fear of loss, and little by little, God will reveal how He has been preparing both of you for something that will unfold at the perfect time. This person is being guided in ways you can't observe, and soon the signs will become clearer. God is not only working in your heart, He is working in theirs too. And when both hearts begin to awaken simultaneously, something beautiful begins to rise, something that had been planted long before either of you realized its depth. And as this movement begins to form quietly in the unseen, God starts to bring a deeper understanding to your spirit, an understanding that doesn't come from logic, timelines, or visible proof, but from revelation. It's the type of understanding that only the Holy Spirit can awaken in a heart that has been faithful, patient, and willing to trust, even when the path felt uncertain. There is something sacred about the way God prepares two souls for a connection He Himself breathed into existence. It is never rushed, never careless, never incomplete. It is worked out in the details, in the healing, in the timing, and in the refining of both hearts. You might not fully recognize it yet, but you have been in a season of pruning, not punishment, but preparation. God has been softening parts of you that needed gentleness, strengthening areas that needed endurance, and calming fears that once controlled your decisions. He has been shaping your patience, your sensitivity, your ability to love without conditions, your capacity to forgive, and your willingness to trust in something deeper than human behavior. These shifts weren't random. They were part of the alignment required for the blessing He is preparing. And the same transformation is happening in the other person as well, even if in completely different ways. God works uniquely in each heart. Some people respond through silence, some through distance, some through inner conflict, some through sudden clarity, some through slow understanding that builds over time. But either way, He knows exactly how to reach them. He knows how to touch the place where fear hides. He knows how to breathe life into places that were closed. He knows how to gently awaken emotions that had been pushed aside. He knows how to stir purpose where confusion once lived. There are moments coming where everything will make sense. All the confusion, all the waiting, all the inner battles you carried in silence, all the midnight prayers, all the times you questioned your own heart. Every unanswered moment will begin to connect like dots that finally form a picture. God is not the author of unfinished stories. When He begins something, He brings it to completion. Philippians 1:6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." And the work He began in this connection is not an exception. In the coming season, you will notice subtle signs that something is changing, signs that God is aligning hearts, rearranging pieces, preparing a moment of reconnection or clarity. You may sense unusual peace, or a sudden emotional shift, or even a feeling that something significant is approaching. You may hear from them out of nowhere, or feel them soften spiritually, or notice coincidences that seem too precise to ignore. God moves quietly before He moves visibly. But once the inner shift is done, the outer shift becomes inevitable. The bond between you is not ordinary, and deep down, you've always known that. It's why you haven't been able to detach completely. It's why their presence never fully faded from your spirit. It's why your heart remained open even when you felt discouraged. Love that is appointed by God does not collapse under distance. It strengthens through it. It matures. It deepens. It becomes clarified. And when God brings it together, it becomes something neither of you could have created on your own. Sometimes, the greatest test of love is not how tightly you can hold on, it's how deeply you can trust God with what you love. And you have trusted Him more than you realize. Every day, you chose faith instead of fear, hope instead of surrender, love instead of resentment, patience instead of despair. You were stepping into spiritual maturity. You were being prepared for the blessing instead of being kept from it. And now, as destiny begins to move again, your heart will feel something it hasn't felt in a long time. Expectancy, not anxiety, not fear, not restlessness, expectancy. The quiet knowing that God is about to turn a page, the sense that something is coming into alignment, the awareness that what you thought was ending was actually transitioning. The feeling that love is returning in a form more stable, more meaningful, more spiritually rooted than ever before. There will be moments when the presence of God becomes almost tangible as you feel Him draw you back into reassurance. Moments when He reminds you that He saw you through every season and He will not abandon you in the moment where everything begins to unfold. You will recognize His fingerprints on this reunion, on this healing, on this restoration. It will feel different, not forced, not rushed, not confusing. It will feel peaceful, because what comes from God always enters with peace. And as your heart prepares for what is coming, there is something else I want you to understand. This channel, these messages, this guidance you've been receiving, they are not coincidences either. When God wants to confirm something to a soul that has been wrestling between hope and surrender, He sends reminders in ways that penetrate the heart. He uses words, moments, signs, timing. He uses whatever is needed to bring clarity to the one He is strengthening. If this message reached you today, it's because God is speaking directly into your moment. And I want to speak to your heart with the same sincerity. If these messages have helped you breathe again, if they have lifted your spirit in moments when you felt alone, if they have brought clarity, comfort, or confirmation, then understand this: you are part of the purpose of this work. And your presence here matters more than you know. The work poured into these messages, the time spent in prayer, writing, and spiritual preparation is done with the intention of reaching people exactly like you, people who need a voice that reminds them God hasn't forgotten them, that their story isn't over, that love still has a future, that their heart is seen by heaven. If you feel that these words have helped guide you, heal you, or bring hope back into your life, and you feel moved to bless this work in return, I want to gently invite you, only if your heart feels led, to use the super thanks as a way of supporting this mission. It's not expected, it's not required, but it is deeply appreciated. Every gesture of support strengthens this space so I can continue creating messages that reach hearts in their exact moment of need. Your generosity in any amount becomes a seed, one that allows this message of faith, purpose, and destined love to continue touching lives. And if you do feel led to give, know this: I pray over every person who contributes. I pray that God multiplies peace, clarity, provision, and restoration in your life. I pray He honors your kindness. I pray He surprises you with breakthroughs in areas where you have been faithfully waiting. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with your heart open. Thank you for walking through this journey with faith, even when faith was difficult. And thank you, truly, for every way you support this place, whether through prayer, through presence, or through generosity. May God bless you deeply, because your story is not done. Something beautiful is still unfolding, and very soon you will understand why God told you not to give up.